Thank you for calling Cruises and Tours Limited. This call may be monitored or recorded for quality assurance. Cruise and Tours, this is Chad.
Hey Chad, this is Adam Lee. How you doing?
Hey, Mr. Lee, I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm all right.
Hey, I just wanted to reach out to you here about our friend here, Amy Donoho, and her sister, I guess it is, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, let me say how much I regret that you guys ran into these bad apples. I can't stand it when people like this pop up. It just gets under my skin. Um, Next, I just kind of want to go over the situation with you real quick. So
Sure.
we have a number of complaints now coming in from the state of Florida. Um, it's a really bad thing for us in this situation. It's a cost of my business, in fact. That's okay, because you know what's going on with the situation, and frankly, you want party to the transaction in any way, manner, shape, or form. She operated completely outside the scope of her contractual arrangement with us, as well as outside the scope of Florida law. In particular, where she really messed up, where she approached as criminal in her activity, is when she accepted monies directly.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a bad one. That I'm going to do everything I can with the state to help them go after these people. Okay, so her sign-up information, IP addresses, contact information, all this kind of stuff I'm providing to the state. I want to work proactively with the state to see what I can do to get these people who were misrepresenting themselves and in particular my company and defrauding people. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot I can do. I wasn't party to this transaction. I had nothing whatsoever to do with it. I never touched the money, never saw the money. She wasn't working with a vendor that we work with. She just broke every rule in the book. And the second we became aware of it, we terminated her contract and terminated her access to every vendor we could. Here's the one problem. Okay? We password protected all of her current bookings. Okay? But if you have our phone number and a certain credential, a number, an ID number, she can call in and manage bookings. Okay? So she may be still trying to promote stuff. And hand to God, there's not a darn thing I can do about it. Not our problem, or our fault. If the vendors look at us as an agency. And so while I can turn off Amy Donoho and I can turn off Elizabeth Donoho, I wouldn't know, for example, that Elizabeth is now going by the last name Shines or something like that. Shines.
Yeah.
Notes here somewhere. So, you know, she could easily sneak back in. From what I'm seeing online, Amy has a long history of, or at least a strong recent history of behaving in unscrupulous ways.
Yeah, yeah.
So we do everything we can to vet agents. You know, we collect ID, we do random background check, we do everything we can. But as soon as that money goes to somebody, to a person directly, then our ability to do anything is our hands are kind of tied. It would be, you know, akin to her, you know, if she was registered for 3 different hosts, who would be responsible? If she was registered for no hosts and just went out there and grabbed our solo travel number off of a website someplace, which I'm not saying that she did, I'm just saying, you know what, there's just nothing I can do to hunt her down. Now, I will say this. We're a high volume merchant with PayPal. I have seen chargebacks come through a year after the fact under certain circumstances. So I would encourage people to pursue that avenue to get their money back, and then let the wheels of justice crank against the people that it needs to crank against, and that would be the Donohos.
Sure, yeah. Well, I'll tell you kind of the my take on the situation, if you will. I think, and I don't know if you found the blog that I composed or the video that I made or the Facebook
and I
group
actually
or
replied
whatever.
to you on that. It was well done.
Yeah, you know, we mentioned your company mainly as, what am I trying to say? I feel like it mainly needed to be there because, you know, in order to fill out a complaint. It needed to be as complete a information or record, if you will, as possible to kind of get the complaint pushed through. Um, I'm I haven't filed any complaints myself because, as I mentioned in the blog, I'm one of the few people that's actually gotten a refund. I may be the only person that's gotten a refund directly from Amy. There have been a couple of people who have gotten a refund from PayPal, and I have instructed people to check and see how they paid her, um, because they can do a refund through PayPal if they did not choose the friend and family option, which a lot of people, including myself, did, um, for varying reasons. One, to try and save her the fees because we trusted her.
Yeah.
And see, I had already been on one cruise successfully with her back in January of last year, and everything worked out great. We even on that cruise we had a canceled excursion due to high winds in Grand Cayman, and that day she literally handed everyone cash. So I didn't have any reason not to trust her. I hadn't looked into the past that is easy to find online if you search for the Disney shopper stuff that she's done. But anyway, you know, the people that have gotten a refund have done it because they didn't pay via friends and family. And then also some people can do a refund request from their funding source. So if they pay by credit card, they may have an option. If their bank is willing to work with them, they may have an option. But the people who paid via friends and family really have no option other than hoping that Amy will do the right thing and give them a refund.
Yeah, if it was PayPal to PayPal via friends and family, that might be an issue. If they use a credit card via PayPal for a friends and family, they should be able to do it with their credit card.
Yeah. And I've instructed people to contact, check and see how they funded, and find out what they can do. Like I said, not a lot of people are kind of embarrassed that they got caught up in the situation. At one point there was discussion about whether or not we should make the Facebook group public so that we can get the information out to people. And a lot of people said if we did that, they'd have to remove their comments because they're just, they're afraid to get to be exposed, and they've got friends and family that they don't want to think less of them because they got caught up in this what they feel is a scam. Anyway, I don't know. I appreciate that you're willing to work with the state, and I hope that. I honestly I don't want to see her go to jail, unless she's just completely unwilling to do the right thing. I feel like if she'll come through and admit what's happened and work to get everybody paid back, then I'm willing to call that lesson learned. But if she wants to continue to hide and dodge calls and block people and all that kind of stuff and not address the issue, then I feel like some legal action probably needs to take place. So. Um, do you? I don't know how much information you can pass along, but does it sound like an investigation is ongoing and that something is going to charges or anything like that are possible?
Here's what we have to do. Okay, and I know we just met. I play cards at the face off. I'm not sitting here trying to play any games with anybody. Okay.
Sure.
The first thing I really appreciate is you would modify or take down the posts encouraging people to file against my company. All that's going to do is muddy the waters. It's going to take attention away from the actual bad actor. I'm going to put it on my company, and I'm going to bounce it back with several statements that separate me from the transaction. Okay. First of all, she broke the contractual obligation to register. Second of all, she accepted money which is against our contract and against Florida law. Okay. Third of all, she failed to return communications. There's another violation of our contract. They're small. Okay. It's just ugly. There's nothing I could do or have done to have stopped it. So what we're doing now is throwing the light on me. I want to throw communications back like this to the state. And now, rather than having, so far, I've got 7 complaints that have been filed against me since your Facebook post. What's going to happen is that's just going to muddy the waters. The actual case that you're trying to make, then that is that you had an unregistered seller of travel operating in a manner that is against the laws of Florida, and she won't go to jail, but they will fine her heavily. Heavily. Let me put it to you this way. We had an agent one time that had a stack of business cards up on their table at a bridal show. Person from the state goes walking by, picks up 2 cards, and the agent says, "Can I help you?" He says, "Oh, no, I'm with the state." He says, "Oh, what's going on?" He says, "Well, you have 2 violations of seller travel." He said, "What?" "Yeah, each one of these business cards are a violation. They didn't have the proper SOT numbers on it. They're $500 each. There's $1,000 just for 2 business cards that were digit off on a seller travel card."
Wow.
So if they catch up to somebody, they are not playing. So if the objective is to, and I'm just being frank here, so if I say something wrong, just understand what I'm saying, okay? If the objective is to beat somebody up so that everybody feels better, even if they're kind of an innocent party involved in the situation, or an innocent party to the situation, then keep on filing these complaints. It's going to really be a pain in my back. It's going to be a hassle. It's going to be quite a bit of work. But if your objective is to make sure that Amy doesn't do this to anybody again, and that she sees it, and that she's held accountable, I will tell you this: the state of Florida is not playing when it comes to this kind of stuff. Happy to provide to them all kinds of information, including her Social Security information, which we verify prior to paying anybody. So they'll go after her, and since she resides in the state, it's going to be real easy for them to knock on her door, so to speak, figuratively, to send her a bill. Right? Now, will you guys see a portion of that money? It's hard to say. And we participate in what's called a restitution fund, but again, I wasn't part of the transaction. Will they levy a judgment against her and beat her until she pays it? Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got 4,800 agents who've been doing business for 26 years. This is the second time something like this has happened, and by far the worst.
Gotcha.
The first time, they aren't playing. It was I want to say $5,000 fine. They're prohibited from selling travel in the state for 10 years. And hell, even if they go and try to register a corporation or a DBA in the state, they're going to play like that. In fact, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, she might as well walk in there and rob a liquor store. So as far as the legal consequences. So me personally, I would go that way.
Well, let me ask you, and I haven't filled out the complaint form myself because, like I said, I'm technically not out any money. I'm really just trying to facilitate, kind of like you said, helping other people who are still out there money to get their money back, and also to try and prevent her from, hurting anyone else financially. What can the form be filled out incompletely and still, like I said, the main reason that I felt it was important to list the host agency or whatever you call, what your agreement or party to her is, was mainly so that people could have complete information to fill out for the complaint. I mean, is there a way that we can go about doing this differently?
I believe you could just fill in ST-none, and the form will go through. I don't think they validate that field. But you can also call them up and ask the state what they feel their best course of action is. Because what you have is, it's kind of like, you ever seen those signs on construction trucks where it says, big old sticker that says, report unlicensed contractors, and they give an 800 number?
Sure.
Same idea. It's the same idea. She's running around saying this, that, and the other, but she isn't. I had a guy cutting down some trees in my yard one time. This dude dropped a 60-foot pine tree across a public street without anybody watching. No watching, anything like that. And did some research. I tried to hunt this guy down. You remind me of me. I actually made a website and tried to hunt this guy down, all this kind of stuff. But what he had done is he had a job at a tree company for like a week before he got fired for doing crack or whatever, and he still had his boss's license number. So he's going around quoting jobs with a photocopy of his boss's license and insurance, and there was nothing to be done about it.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? Same exact same thing.
Do you have maybe a phone number or a link or something that you can provide where we can report something like that, or do you think it's the same agency and form or whatever?
It'd be the same agency. I would call that agency up and ask them what the recommendations are. You can say that she was formerly associated with us or whatever like that, but I'd really appreciate it if you declare that if we weren't a party to the transaction, it's just who she represented to be associated with, however fraudulently, and see what they recommend. I'd also get hold of PayPal, and I think if you lean on them hard enough, and boy, I tell you, the information package that Miss Orr sent to the state was very comprehensive. PayPal normally sees that kind of stuff and backs right up. Because remember, it costs them more money to go wade through all that than it does for them just to suck up the $60.
Sure, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I would do personally. And actually, I would be mad as hell too. I don't blame you at all. I would just really appreciate it if you could modify those posts, knowing that I'm going to go ahead and do all I can to help that on the state side. To maybe take the stink off us, if you will. Is that something that you consider, or where are you at on that?
Yeah. I'll definitely compose something and figure out, what I think is the best way to approach it. Because the main thing I want to do is try and give people a direct path. I feel like it's a bad enough situation that if it's difficult for people to file a complaint or unclear, or people find any reason. There's a number of people. I don't know if you joined the Facebook group or not, but there's a number of people who have just said, you know what, I'm just going to consider it lesson learned, take the loss, and move on. But that's not helping prevent other people from being taken advantage of. So I feel like
here's the thing. I hope they let me into that Facebook group, because I'd like to go in there and give some people some tips. Hopefully speaking.
If you apply, I'll accept you. Really, the only reason we decline anybody at this point is if there's 3 questions you got to answer. You got to agree to follow the rules. As long as your Facebook profile isn't less than 6 months old, then me or one of the other admins will let you in. So
sweet. So I'd like to give some people some tips. Okay, I'm going to just run by them with you real quick, just so that in the course of your communications you can bring them up. Number 1. If a travel agent ever asks you to take money directly, don't do it. Don't do it. Unless they are a storefront, legitimate agency with an ARC certification. That's American, or the Airline Reporting Corporation. Okay? All transactions per our contract, and best practices, all transactions go directly to the vendor from the client's credit or debit card. The agent never touches the money. Why? Because we, as a fully licensed, bonded, and insured agency, have bonds and cash in place to where the state can just reach into our account and reimburse the client if they determine that to be necessary. So always pay the vendor directly. Now, the agent can handle the credit card, the numbers and all that, but never, ever pay the agent directly. Never, ever PayPal, Vimeo, or any, or the pay whatever.
Yeah.
Never, ever do a person-to-person transaction like that for a travel purchase. So the problem is, and this is perfect, I think Amy did this on purpose. A lot of times you got that 60, 90, 120 day limit on your credit card to dispute. I'm looking down, you're not traveling for a year. That's a great way to get away with stuff. We call it robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Sure.
But we just call it Peter and Paul in the industry. It's a very common, it's common for agencies that are failing. If the owner has no self-respect or dignity whatsoever, to start trying to take money from one client to pay for another client that they have.
Sure.
So
like a Ponzi.
Never directly. Never directly. Never person to person. Always get a payment receipt from the vendor within a reasonable time after the purchase. So typically what should happen in my organization is that you'll receive an invoice that our system would generate. That's kind of like your receipt. Okay? Then you have a client-facing or consumer version of the detailed invoice from the vendor. That's going to have all your legal disclaimers, breakdowns, and the application of actual payments with that vendor. Now, can I Photoshop that and fool you? Yeah. But it's certainly a step in the right direction to know that your money went to the right place.
Right.
Okay? And the third thing is, as soon, the second, that an agent cannot produce for you proper documentations, a reservation number, anything that doesn't smell right, stop what you're doing and get serious with them real fast. Say, I want my money back. They'll say, well, I'm on vacation. I did that. No. In writing, I want my money back within 5 business days. Period.
Yeah, I think I think the biggest thing that kind of made it a little more convoluted is, and I'll preface this by saying, I recently signed up with a company. I've been wanting to do it for a couple of years, and couldn't find a way to get into the industry until back this past December. But one of the things that has kind of been made clear to me through some of the training and research and stuff I've done is the difference between the travel agent or the booking agent or whatever and the tour conductor. And I think she was trying to operate as both the tour conductor and the travel agent, which everything I'm seeing now, I don't know if there's a legitimate way to do it. I feel like it really should be 2 separate people. And
let me explain it to you real quick. That bit about not accepting the money directly, there's a number of reasons for that. State law, best practices, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But there's also that line between tour operator and travel agent. Typically, the difference is, and obviously the legal definition is somewhat more detailed, but in a nutshell, as soon as let's say I package a bus ride down to Miami, a cruise, an excursion, and a one-night free hotel stay, and I call it Chad's Awesome Cruise, and I sell that Chad's Awesome Cruise for $2,000, and I collect the money, and I don't disclose where that money went, the vendors and all that detail. I just became a tour operator. And I'm in deep trouble with the state if I'm licensed to travel agent.
Gotcha.
So, she may have been trying to do that. Again, that is outside the scope of our contract. Because then, she gets into all kinds of things like warranties, merchantability, suitability for purpose. All kinds of stuff. But if you're out there on, Bob's Jungle Tour, and Bob's bus breaks in half and everybody falls down a cliff, God forbid, Amy would be responsible for that because she's the one that received the money.
Gotcha.
Okay. Whereas if a travel agent did it and that credit card went straight from the client to the vendor, the agent, while concerned and all that kind of stuff, would likely not be held accountable for that because she was facilitating a transaction at the direction of the client.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you buy a house and all of a sudden the roof caves in. Well, you wouldn't sue the real estate agent. You sue the homeowner, right? Or the bank. Who's not going to do due diligence. So, yeah, she's been dancing around quite a bit.
Yeah,
what's really upsetting to me is the way she's doing it.
I think here's my take on the situation, and I'll let you go. And like I said, you're welcome to join the group. And I think I appreciate you being forthright and your willingness to try and disseminate the information to people so that they to try and help everybody get be made whole and whatnot. But And some of what I'm going to say here is a little bit of speculation, but it's coming from a place of direct knowledge and experience of dealing with Amy. I think she started a YouTube channel. She loved cruising, like I think anybody that starts selling cruise travel does. You don't do it just to make money. You probably like cruising if you got involved with the industry. She started a YouTube channel, started getting a following. There was probably some people who were interested in meeting her or whatever, and like myself, decided to sign up when she decided to do a group cruise. And she had I think at least two successful ones. I was on the second one, the one in January last year I mentioned, and you know I think the mistake she made was not being diligent about doing everything the proper and correct way. And then she had some things going on in her personal life that led to some financial hardships. And then she started using funds that she shouldn't to pay her bills or whatever was going on. And even though, yeah, exactly, Peter and Paul. And even if she wasn't doing things the technically correct way with the state and all that kind of stuff, which is bad enough, but if she had still just done everything on the up and up in the honest way, even though she wasn't doing it the technically correct way, then none of this would have come out. Her past would have been her past. Her present would have been clean and clear, and nobody would care that she wasn't doing things technically correct. But anyway, that's my take on it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. As I've looked at this, I think I'm almost positive I know what happened. She got going along. She had to take off Chad Burt. She hit some financial problems. I saw some posts regarding that, and had to spend some money on personal stuff. Now she's a few dollars short for what she owes the victim. Now she's got a problem. Typically, what these Peter Paul situations look like is they start getting a little bit of trouble, right? Financially. Because what they're trying to do now, rather than taking the money and giving it to the vendor to put it in their own pocket, now they get their commission up front, right? So they only have to remit the net out of the gross, including commission, for some vendors. So now they're thinking, oh, here's a shortcut way for me to get my commission, 100% of my commission, up front. And then what happens if there's a cancellation? What happens if there's a monthly loan? What happens? They've already run it down to their to net, right? They don't have any extra there. They spend the extra money. And then what do? Well, they double down. I'm going to do another one on this cruise, and everybody starts sending you money. And they figured they'll get it straightened out, by the time all that happens. So a lot of times it's not, criminals that come in here and say, travel industry is a great way to defraud people, but rather normally it's business people who get in over their head and then start doing things that they probably wouldn't have done otherwise. That's been my experience in the industry. And I sit on a lot of boards in the industry, professional associations and stuff like that. The Peter Paul thing normally happens like that. So I'm not trying to crucify the lady. I do, however, want her to put in at least as much work on this as I have so far to date. Excuse me. I'm about a dozen hours into dealing with this myself.
Sure.
So I'd like for her to know that. I'll tell you this off the clock. Okay? Completely off the clock. We in the industry talk. So my competitors and I talk about, days events and things that may have happened with an agent using PayPal and that kind of stuff. The conversation gets around in a very organized, surprisingly efficient way.
Sure.
I can't really tell you exactly how we do that, but it's pretty effective in keeping people like this out of our industry.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can really restrict her ability to go out there and do this. Here's the thing. It would be very easy for her to go Google, Google some seller travel numbers and say, yeah, here, I'm with them. Here, yeah, I'm with them. Here, yeah, I'm with them. Look legit and pull this again.
Gotcha. Yeah.
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 But anyway,
I think it would be. I think it's going to be harder for her to do now because a lot of these YouTubers and stuff have kind of decided that they're going to address the story and the allegations just to because they're a lot of the same people follow all these different channels and they feel like they need to say something. So I think the word is pretty well gotten out. I think it's going to be difficult for her to do it to anybody in the future. But and so
well,
that was
again, it just takes her a second to change her name. But hopefully, my hope is that she got close enough to get caught, that she got scared and she's not going to do it again. That having been said, according to this most recent complaint, she has something scheduled on the NCL Encore for December 19th that she's promoting again.
huh. That's
So
interesting.
I'm bringing that to the,
Yeah, I hadn't heard that.
the state's attention as well. And I've got my national director of sales researching that cruise to see what we can find out. If it's under our credentials, we should be able to find it. If it's not, we might have to ask for a couple favors from people we know kind of high up at NCL. Again, that's just between you and I.
Sure.
But I just want to see if her name is floating around on anything out there that I can.
All right. Well,
So,
I appreciate the info, and the main point of everything I was doing, like I said, was to prevent future stuff, try and help people get their information back or get their money back rather, and then to do it in a way trying to stick to the truth and be honest about it. Some people have tried to latch onto this and get pretty trollish and
yeah, I know they get all up to these. And like I would really appreciate if you could update those posts to kind of take the
yeah,
focus back where it needs to be.
I will.
And I'm happy to help anybody out. You got my phone number. I appreciate if you didn't post it publicly, but if you want to message it to anybody, my extension's 210. Steve's is 312. He's my business partner. Because we've been a family-run company for 26 years. And to be honest with you, we hate this stuff, and we go after it really aggressively. We're happy. We're eager to help anybody that we can. I can't cut checks for you, but I can give them the information I've given you and answer any questions they might have.
Very cool. All right. Well, I
All right?
appreciate your time and the info. Like I said, if you would like to join the group, just do it
Yeah, I
at
already
your.
applied, and I replied to your blog. By the way, I love that. It's such a good way to get attention. That's really well done. I like the way that you kept it factual and factual, empirical, and to the point. Because Lord knows I love trolls that just want to see the city burn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, is there anything I can do to help you out? Just let me know, man.
Very
Okay?
cool. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. I appreciate your time. Have a great day.
You too.
No.
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I got your message. Sorry I missed your call yesterday. I appreciate you calling me back.
Sure, anytime. What's your question? You got
So yeah, I think had called in and talked to somebody in your department, and I just wanted to call and confirm some information. So I don't know if you know all the details or not, but we've been having some issues with a travel agent that's been working out of Florida, and of course, none of us knew any of this information before, but I'm under the impression that they have to do some sort of registration with the state when they live in Florida.
They do.
Yeah, and so the agency, I guess, has to register as a seller of travel, and then all their independent agents have to register as well.
That is correct.
Okay. And so the agency is trying to, of course, distance themselves from the situation. What role do they have, or what responsibility do they have to make sure their agents are registered?
Well, I mean, if they're taking money and under their name, they should be registered. An independent agent can't accept money. It has to go through the seller of travel account. It can't go through their account. They cannot personally take money.
Sure. I guess.
And the only time that they would probably know anything about that is if someone filed a complaint with our office and we told them about it, and more than likely they would probably terminate the employee and maybe take some sort of civil action or criminal action, whatever they could come up with or their lawyers could come up with.
Okay.
So us as a department, if we find someone operating, we give them the opportunity to get in compliance, and then if they don't, then we start administrative action against them if we can locate them.
Okay. But is there any responsibility for the agency, just even if they're not having a specific problem, but just to ensure that their agents are registered, or I'm basically trying to figure out where the onus lies to make sure that people are kind of following protocol or whatever.
I don't know if there, people out there that, for instance, you've got a company that they worked as a seller travel, they worked as an independent agent for this company over here. They figured out all the tricks and details. They quit working for them, and then they've gone rogue out here, and they're just out here under their independent agent name, and they're just selling stuff, and people don't know any better, and they're giving them money. And the only way that we find out about that is once the travel or the TIA doesn't produce the vacation or the cruise or whatever it is that they signed up for. And at that point in time, that's the only time we find out about it. We don't have any way of, we find out through the internet as well. But there is just no way to determine someone's out there selling travel. A lot of people do it from their homes.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's the case here. But I guess, and I'm not necessarily trying to pin down this one particular instance. I mean, just generally speaking, if Joe or John Smith goes and works at XYZ travel agency, and he lives in Fort Lauderdale or wherever, does XYZ agency have any responsibility to make sure that John Smith is actually registered, or do they just kind of take it at their word and they're not actually responsible for that?
No, they have the seller of travel has to, on their registration application, they're supposed to give us a list of all their independent agents.
Okay.
And if there's someone has been terminated, they usually give us that information, and we delete them from that business name or stop date it, saying they're no longer working for this company.
Okay, and then if they gave you the list and it was correct and updated and everything, and somebody on that list wasn't registered, would that raise a flag in your system, or not until a actual complaint?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
we would let the business know, hey, these people aren't registered as a TIA. You've got this person listed here. We don't have any paperwork on them where they've registered to do this. And then at that point in time, they would be given the opportunity to do it. And if they didn't, then I'm sure there'd be some sort of administrative action taken.
I got you. Well, at least it sounds like it's good in that you don't just drop the hammer on somebody and on the first sign of trouble, that you actually give them the opportunity to get compliant or whatever. So that's good.
And then if a TIA just the loose ends in a registration, then we try to verify through the business. Hey, look, you've got someone here that's applied for a TIA under your SOT. Do you know who this is? And then normally they send us something in writing, either via email or through the mail, saying, hey, please add this person to our list.
Gotcha.
And update that way.
Okay. All right. I guess all that makes sense. I think I had another question, but I don't recall what it was at this time.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Is there any way I can get an email address from you in case I remember what that question is? I can just email it to you instead of bothering you with another phone call?
At freshfromflorida.com. And Florida spelled out.
Gotcha. So freshfromflorida.com.
That's correct.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you for your time and the information. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll try to give an answer for you.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.